Take a look at this data comparison. On the left, we have person A pulling in a massive $300,000 a year, but spending $290,000 to maintain their lifestyle. On the right, person B earns a modest $60,000, but keeps their expenses strictly capped at $30,000. Society naturally points to the high earner as the model of financial success. But if we ask which of these two people is actually positioned to leave the workforce entirely, the math tells a very different story. We are conditioned to equate early retirement with massive wealth. The standard mental image usually involves lottery winners or millionaires lounging on mega yachts with bottomless bank accounts. But wealth and financial freedom are two different measurements. Going back to our two earners, person B is mathematically decades closer to leaving the workforce than person A. This chart illustrates the actual mechanism of early retirement. It relies entirely on optimizing the gap, the distance between the green line of money coming in and the red line of money going out. When you stop measuring success by the sheer size of your income and start measuring it by the width of that gap, the equation shifts. A life free from mandatory work falls within reach of ordinary employees. The tool that controls the size of that gap is your savings rate. It acts as the master lever dictating the exact speed at which you can reclaim your time. Conventional financial advice usually suggests saving about 10% of your paycheck. While responsible, that specific math guarantees that you will be clocking into a job for roughly 40 years. Watch what happens to this timeline when we crank the savings rate up. Pushing that dial to 40 or 50% triggers a massive acceleration, cutting decades off a standard working life. That acceleration happens because every retained dollar performs two jobs simultaneously. First, those dollars act like highly efficient workers, multiplying your initial capital through compounding investment returns. The second benefit is even more powerful, though it gets far less attention. By learning to survive comfortably on half of what you earn, the total mountain of cash required to fund the rest of your life drastically drops. Mastering this double benefit reveals a strict mathematical reality. Stripping away excess expenses gets you to the finish line much faster than working exhausting hours to endlessly chase a higher salary. Over the last decade, an entire subculture emerged that treats this math as an absolute religion. They call it FIRE, Financial Independence, Retire Early. This graphic outlines the core mechanic they rely on, the 4% rule. The concept is that if you accumulate an investment portfolio 25 times your annual expenses, you can safely withdraw 4% of the total every year, indefinitely. If you need $40,000 a year to live, your exact target is $1 million invested. Hitting a seven-figure target on an average salary demands strict discipline. It relies on years of consistent, unbroken repetition of saving and investing, rather than a brilliant stock pick or an overnight windfall. But flawless spreadsheets often collide with a messy economy. A perfectly calculated plan can be thrown completely off course by sudden inflation spikes, catastrophic out-of-pocket healthcare costs, and severe market downturns. When the market drops 20% and a portfolio shrinks by hundreds of thousands of dollars, the math doesn't panic, but human beings do. Holding the course through those chaotic economic shocks requires immense psychological discipline. The 4% rule provides an excellent theoretical map, but surviving the real economic terrain requires a level of unyielding human endurance that no formula can generate for you. And there is one final, unquantifiable variable that ruins many successful early retirements. When a career abruptly ends, people frequently experience a profound loss of identity. We spend decades structuring our lives around the 40-hour workweek. When that rigid structure vanishes, early retirees often find themselves completely disoriented, staring into a terrifying void of empty time. Longevity in this new lifestyle depends on the direction of travel. Those who succeed move toward a specific, deeply held purpose, rather than simply running away from a career they hate. Those who navigate this successfully fill the void actively. They launch small businesses, dedicate their days to philanthropy, or master complex hobbies. Their human drive to be productive remains entirely intact. They simply regain ownership over where that productivity goes. This shift transforms retirement into the ultimate form of leverage. Once basic survival is permanently funded, you gain the absolute authority to dictate how every single hour of the day is spent. The path to autonomy relies on clear math, optimizing the gap, investing consistently, and allowing time to do the heavy lifting. Success looks like needing less and designing a life so fulfilling that the desire to escape the world evaporates entirely.